YouTube? What's YouTube?
It's a problem. She knows what it is. She just doesn't.
Yeah.
Like she just can't sit there and watch me be a part of it.
No, and I don't blame her.
Yeah, but so she asked me when's Drew on. Like she doesn't even know Drew. She knows of Drew. I'm on it every week.
Every week.
Watch the show that I'm in all the time.
So your mum actually goes out of her way. She watches the first couple minutes and then skips. She already knows the formula where we have our guests.
Yeah.
She skips to that part.
Let's hope she skips because we don't have anyone today. Let's hope that she skips right through and it's still just us.
Yeah. Well, if we use this as an intro, that means she might actually hear this part.
Yeah, we've alerted it. Yeah, I'm assuming she skips over the intro because it's just the logo.
True, but Mrs. Lambert, if you are listening to this part,
stay tuned.
Stay tuned,
Watch
please.
the whole thing, please. Please.
We need it more than you would know.
Do we have and sponsor us too?
Yeah.
Welcome to the round 17 episode of the Magoos. Ben,
well
you well?
said. I was very confident.
Thank
in
you. Yeah,
introduction.
I'm
Good
pumped.
on ya.
It's almost
How
like
are
we've done
we?
this before. I'm good, mate. Good to see you back here,
Good
even though Essendon had a loss on the weekend.
Loss, yeah.
Last week you came in here pumped up and ready to talk footy. This week you're a little bit more tail between the
A
legs,
little
but
bit
it's
more
okay.
reluctant. You know, it could be worse. Could be a Carlton supporter.
It could be. Just remember who told you Essendon wouldn't make the finals pre-season.
Yeah, but it's not. It wasn't like the biggest call of the century.
Well, it was pretty big. David King said they'd win the flag.
Who's
and,
David King?
well, he's a respected football analyst.
Yeah, well, I think we need to put some respect on
Me,
people.
being
on
an
you,
analyst.
on you, yeah. No, but I don't know, yeah, shocking. Not shocking. It was, I don't know, it was whatever.
Just a loss, just a side that aren't a final side, aren't they? Essendon.
Yeah, I don't want to play the victim, but that was fucking. I'm with I stand with Worsfold on.
You ride with Woosha, will you?
I will ride with Woosha. That was disgraceful umpiring on the weekend.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave it at that because before people go, oh, fucking here we go.
Yeah, Ben again.
Don't worry about it.
Bellyache.
Don't worry about it.
We should mention to everyone watching this that we've got a few new additions to our little memorabilia, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
We've got a signed photo that's obviously doctored of you.
Yep, signed by Drew.
Involved in the Drew Wilson James Hurd hug, which
many
says
hugs.
Many hugs, Drew Wilson, signed there.
Which I also, if you've noticed, I put it over Kuda.
Yeah, Kuda, yeah. I hadn't.
Because I thought, considering we were going to break the news about Carlton folding about the end of the year, thought may as well.
Yeah. And we've also got some proof of the Richmond membership that unfortunately I had to buy just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sitting up there, the Richmond member 18. And if Richmond are watching, please stop emailing me. I do not go for your club.
You should take complete advantage of that, them being the best team in the league right now.
Like on the thing they sent me, it has actually it's just here. I got in the letter. It has like for my Carlton one, I think it says now 21 year member.
Yeah.
And I really wear that as around a badge of pride.
Yeah, that's that's good.
And then in here it's got I don't need to show you because it says it. It says
Those listening.
Yeah, it says 1 year member, like 20, and it's just looking at it and goes, God, how could you even live with yourself if you were actually a proper supporter?
You
and
have a photo of it, just a wagon, and just you,
and it's just
you on top of it.
It's just
And
I just read it and I thought, oh, I don't like that. Like even though that
because it's so far away from 21 as well,
and it's like you're never going to catch it. But it's also, and they won the flag last year. Imagine how many 1 year memberships that's
it's like giving out Golden State memberships for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean at least people live in that area, so
that is true. Yeah, that is true. Anyway, what do we got?
Look, it's been pretty busy, isn't it? Footy. I mean, Richmond is still good.
Richmond are still good. Carlton are still shit. Everything's in order.
The equilibrium is maintained. Who can win the flag, man? Can you tell me who can win the flag? Everyone's talking about. We saw Riley O'Donnell, a devout follower of ours, a big listener, so he'll enjoy this. Riley, he put out a Twitter poll. Asked the question and we retweeted and got it a little bit of traction as we were interested as well. Who's Richmond's closest competitor? He had West Coast, Collingwood, Geelong, other. Mm-hmm. Who would you have voted for in that?
Oh, West Coast, I would say.
Okay, can't win at the G.
Well, that's why I was reluctant, but go on.
Okay, well then choose another team.
I think that's why most people will be reluctant. I think they're a good mob. Just the G factor.
A good mob. Most people see Collingwood in that one.
They're too injury prone.
Okay.
At the minute.
And then injuries. Other as well. I've narrowed it down of who can win the flag.
Okay, let's hear it.
I've narrowed it down to 4 sides.
Ooh, Jake's 4.
The big 4.
Welcome back to Jake's 4.
thought I wrote this down.
Who we got? I've got the ladder here. I just want to see.
No, I know. Richmond can win it.
Yeah, I thought it was other than.
Oh, sorry. No, 4,
Okay,
including Richmond, can win the flag.
Yep.
Richmond can win it.
Yep.
There's 1.
Yep.
Geelong can win it.
Yeah.
There's 2. Hawthorn can win it.
Oh, I like that.
And GWS can win it. There's your 4. The Premier will be one of those 4. Won't be West Coast, won't be Port Adelaide, won't be Collingwood, one of those 4.
So GWS could win it from 8th, you reckon?
Yep. GWS could win it from anywhere if they get in. But they've got to get in, but they are one of 4 sides that can
You reckon
win the
they've got to
flag.
get in to go on to win
Who's going to win the flag then, Ben?
I'm going to stick with the top dog. I think Richmond, yeah.
Yeah, but who can challenge them? Who's
I like
2?
that list. I think Sydney is still up there. They've had a couple bad ones, but it's around 16.
Injuries too, though. Injuries too.
Injuries. Well, you've just named 2 teams that can beat them with injuries. Collingwood was one.
No,
you
I didn't say Collingwood.
Sorry, but people out
Start
there.
listening to me.
I believe Collingwood won that polo, didn't they, from the Magoo's community?
Yeah, well,
A lot of Collingwood supporters must be out there because
yeah.
that's just wrong. And I'm not saying they're not shit. 4 weeks ago, I would have said that is true, but they've just that injury list keeps getting bigger and bigger. But yeah, GWS, they have Toby Green back, I think, don't they?
It's going to be interesting this week, Collingwood West Coast at the MCG, because
Yeah.
Collingwood, I mean, they're trooping, they're going beautifully, and, people say they haven't beaten anyone, but...
Well,
you
they
can
were
just beat
lucky.
who
They were
you can-
honestly lucky to get the win against Bombers on the weekend.
Yeah, but I mean, you can only beat who you're
Who
up
you're playing.
against.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Their injuries will just keep wearing them down. I don't
Yeah.
think they're a top 4 side,
Yeah.
even probably full strength, but they're playing well.
Now,
So
West Coast have already won a couple at the G this year, haven't they?
They beat Carlton very unconvincingly. I remember that.
Right, okay.
Not sure about any others.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I thought they'd
Hawthorn beat
been
them
winning.
there,
I think Hawks. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, so that's an interesting game to see if West Coast can... I think Kennedy might be back.
Yeah.
So
you're putting a line through Port Adelaide as well, I noticed.
yeah, I like Port Adelaide. And I mean, we sat here very early on in the season and said that, we both like them as a bit of a smoky, whatever. I
It's
just
a
don't
nice
think they
list.
can. I just don't think they can win the flag.
They've got a nice list, but I agree. I don't think they can win it.
I just don't think. I mean, they might get a home final or 2 in there, which might help propel their case. But
Yeah.
I just don't think they can win it. They're not good enough to win the flag. I don't think they don't win convincingly enough for mine, Port Adelaide.
Right.
They seem to beat sides, and that's really all they have to do at this stage
Yeah.
of the year. But they're not doing it with any great, not convincingly. I don't think in terms of beating St Kilda comfortably, but being wasteful and all those sort of things. I don't just.
Based on the last 2 years of the game, we should really only have start this show a week or 2 before the finals, because the last 2 seasons, it's just been whoever's the best informed team at the
goes on
time.
and wins it.
I mean,
Food for thought for next year. I
that
guess.
could change. That
Yeah,
could
it
change,
could
but you're
change
right.
because
I
Richmond
think
could dominate the
I
whole
think
way.
anyone's that top 8, top 10 really. I'm going to rule Essendon and Adelaide out for now. I think they've both had losses on the weekend. They're just not. Did Adelaide lose on the weekend? I think they did.
Oh, this is an awkward
Yes, they
performance.
did. They got spanked by Richmond. Yeah, so I think they're out. So I think it's up to that top 10. So GWS still out, but you reckon they might sneak in? I reckon
Yes,
that. I
yes.
really think that draw will get them over the line.
Help them. You reckon? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's an interesting sort of way to look at the AFL season at this point in time. Is who can beat Richmond, not who's going to win it. Is sort of the narrative. But yeah, there's still a lot of footy to be played. I wouldn't be quite jumping all in on.
If you're Richmond at this time of the year, you're obviously not getting hyped up. You do just go week by week.
Yeah.
Do you just manage your players at this stage of the game?
for sure?
Yeah.
For sure. Yep.
But you don't want to flirt with it either because you're only a game above second.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's a balancing
to
act, but
fifth is one game.
if they finish in the top 4, they'll...
Which I think
which
we
they'll
both agree
finish
they will.
top, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
So that means if they finish top 2, they won't go outside Victoria, will they?
correct weight, yeah.
Oh, unless they lose the first
Well,
game.
unless
But
they lose and they flip.
they won't
so
lose
it's
at the
side of
G,
draw,
though.
but
17 on the trot
yeah,
at the MCG.
tough to beat. While we're talking about the fixture, the draw,
Yeah.
who's coming up, the Fox Footy's player round has been on this weekend, which has been really good. The player takeover round.
Yeah, player
it's had a
takeover.
lot
We
of,
didn't seem to get the memo on that one.
Quite, which was interesting, but it's two pretty highly billed media performers.
Yeah.
I thought we'd be a
We
chance.
didn't really
but,
need to.
and Patrick Dangerfield on Monday night was talking about the fixture and the draw and the inadequacies of it, and he made some good points that, I mean, the good sides get handicapped and get a tougher draw for being successful the year before, and it's one of the only codes in world sport you can think of that has an uneven draw.
This is just ignorant by me. Is that an actual fact that they do get a tougher based off the year
I'm
before?
pretty sure it's split into groups of 6,
rungs,
I think.
Okay,
so
fixed, yeah.
I believe, and then you play those teams
Yeah.
twice, or you play one team from the top. If you're the bottom one, you
Yeah.
play one team twice, and the top team plays 3 teams twice, sort of thing. So,
But then again,
in the double ups,
they don't take into consideration teams that were good but also getting older, and teams like Brisbane.
there's no projections.
Yeah, well,
is
like
there?
Brisbane's going to be in the bottom 6, but they also are getting better and better too.
Yeah, so and it's the same as like teams that come from nowhere to win the flag, e.g. Richmond. The year before were outside the finals, and the Dogs as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we finished in the middle rung, so this is just an example. Our home and away season didn't look too bad at the start of the year. I thought that's a pretty good list, and a lot of people did, but that doesn't matter necessarily.
But yeah, I just think it's weird that in this day and age we're still running with an uneven draw.
Yeah,
is something that they really need to look at and fix, whether or not they just play 17 rounds, which is a bit short for mine. Or, they look at another way to make it even. I'm not
Phil
sure
Davis
what the answer
said
is.
Play everyone twice, which is how many games is that?
34. It's a lot of footy.
That's too many games.
It almost
That's 34
be like
weeks.
We almost have to have like Wednesday games and stuff because what are we running at the moment? 23 rounds plus 4 on the week off before the finals, so 28. Yeah, it's a lot of footy, isn't it? It's got to be a way.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure the answer, but
do you reckon it's one of the biggest problems that we need to fix right now?
I mean, they seem to have it managed, but I'm not sure that it's...
I don't know either.
But anyway, Ben, we've got a big show to get into. We want to talk drafts. We want to talk all our regulars. We'll get to the socials. Big news this morning is that Rory Sloan has re-signed, so we'll get on to that.
Yep.
So, Magoo's community, get yourself strapped in for the Round 17 show. Okay, Benny, we are into segment 2 here of the Magoo's.
Well.
Yeah, a little bit of a different sort of
Quick
go.
heads up, if you are still listening on YouTube, we've had a couple of difficulties with the video, so we're just going to go with you on audio.
Yeah, so you won't see us this week, which is a little bit of a bonus, I'm sure, for some of you. Some of you will no doubt be disappointed. But for those of you who just generally take in the podcast in an audio-only form,
if you're listening,
you won't notice any difference. But we're far more relaxed. Ben's in his undies, which was a little bit extreme.
Although that's the reason I wanted to do a podcast, is I can be my undies.
And this is, well, it was your idea to film in the first place, but this is as happy as I think I've ever been.
Yeah, that's pretty
This is exactly what I've always wanted out of life.
So we still doing a footy podcast?
I guess we might as well keep talking about it. So what I want to... So, as we just alluded to, Ben, Rory Sloan has re-signed 5 years with the Crows.
That's huge.
It's a big commitment, isn't it? I mean, from all reports, he was gone.
Yeah.
He was moving on, and
media reports though.
Yeah, although I saw a tweet of that this morning because he'd only just signed Wednesday of this week, and I saw a tweet saying, as Melbourne media, got totally wrong or something, and then I clicked the Rory Sloan resigns article, and from the Adelaide Advertiser, the top video was, or adelaidenow.com.au, whatever it is, the top video was Michelangelo Rucci, Mark Bickley, and Chris McDermott, all Adelaide people, saying that Rory Sloan's most likely going to leave.
Okay. You picked that up. That's a good pickup because most people actually wouldn't have seen that and would still go with that biased opinion of Melbourne media, blah, blah, blah.
VFL
but maybe
sort of
those
nonsense.
3 blokes also believe in Melbourne media too much.
Yeah, I mean...
No, I don't have a problem with the Melbourne media at all. I just think that sometimes
part of it.
You've got to take... I guess we are technically. It's like the people in the project saying, well, we don't like how the media... It's like, you're the media. What was I saying?
So Rory Sloan... I still think with Sloan that they're saying Crow for life. I think he will play football at another club in Melbourne by a little bit of a sign and trade. I don't think you'll see it his 5-year deal at Adelaide.
Like the Warrnambool Football Club, or do you mean?
No, I'm talking an AFL club. I think in maybe 2 years might be a bit of a Bryce Gibbs setup. I mean, him and his wife are expecting their first child. I think they might just do very similar to Bryce Gibbs. They might be looking to maybe have a second in a couple of years' time, and it's a lot harder away from both families and stuff like that. That's just an opinion. I think that I think the Crows would be rapt to keep him. But it also
the 5. A lot of players will go for that security as well at his age. What is he, nearly 20? He's 29, 30.
Yeah, he's 29. 29. Yeah.
5 years is never mind the money.
It's a long-term deal for
security for the next 5 years, which is great.
Yeah, for sure. It's a long-term deal, isn't it?
It is. I don't know
Take someone well into their mid-30s.
I'd sign a 5-year for like anything right now.
Probably read the fine print.
Oh yeah, but
while we're
point
talking,
is it's good. Good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. All power to you,
And
Rory.
bold call from you. You think you're still going to play at a Victorian club to retire at?
Yeah.
Even after the fact.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that bold statement.
Thanks. While we're talking about bold statements and South Australia, you might as well hit us with your Kane Cornes of the week.
I will. Kane Cornes, what up? If you're listening, you're a piece of shit still. And for any new
we'll get to that.
listeners-
Don't you worry. I'm sort of converting. We're listening to that.
To him.
No, to you.
You're
To
converting.
you and anti-Kane Cornes. But we'll get to that shortly after
That
this.
has made my day.
Okay, we'll just do your second.
Okay, sorry. Any new listeners, Kane Cornes of the Week is just an award given to someone who's a little bit me. Doesn't have to be media, can just be... Oh, basically, it was started off with just AFL media, basically, but I get petty. So this week's a good one. We saw now your mate Brian Lake. I don't know why he's your mate, but
Yeah, Lakey.
yeah, Lakey. He's an ex Hawthorn and Dogs player. He's been detained in Japan. He's in a Japanese prison at the moment, following an incident that happened in a bar. He was out celebrating a win for his Asian AFL team, the Indonesian Volcanoes. Now,
Great name.
well, that's... Before I go on, the Kane Cornes of the Week is not for Brian Lake.
It's not for me dropping the...
No, it's going to
The name.
the bloke who named the team the Indonesian Volcanoes.
Oh.
So, you might think off the top of your head it's a pretty good name, but did you know that about 1/3 of the world's active volcanoes are in Indonesia?
Thus named the volcanoes.
Yeah, but 3 earthquakes per day they have. They have 10 times as many deaths from volcanoes in Indonesia than any other country. So this bloke,
He's taken the...
he's named the team after a thing that kills a lot of the people from that country.
in that country.
Like, it'd be like having something called the Australian bushfires or the United States mass shootings.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy! Or
Have we gone off track
or
here?
the African mosquitoes.
Oh,
like,
I thought...
it's just what a nothing.
Every single one that you said then of...
We're pretty savage.
I thought that we were going savager, like when you said the Australian, I thought we were going somewhere else, and I thought we were going...
What? That's because that's a closer home subject. That's not... I think the other two are probably just as bad. if not
No, well,
worse.
when you said African, I didn't think you were going to say mosquitoes.
What do you think I was saying?
Doesn't matter.
Something beginning with A.
No. I just wasn't sure where you were
Something
going with it.
positive?
But so the guy who's naming AFL teams in Indonesia, you reckon
Yeah.
that'd come from headquarters too?
You reckon that comes from
Wouldn't
the
be
top?
some Indonesian bloke just
So
doing it.
You reckon that's Gillen?
No,
I can't give it to Gillen again. I already gave it to him week 2.
no. I mean, it's an AFL sanctioned program.
Yeah,
so
no, you are right. You are right. I just thought that was like to the naked eye. Your first reaction was, "Oh, that wasn't nice."
yeah,
name."
neat.
But if
Yeah,
you think
cool.
about it,
Go to the
it's not.
volcanoes. Let's erupt.
It's not. It's yeah.
And then it does and kills half the town.
Yeah, exactly. So the Kane Cornes of the week, round 17, goes to the bloke. Could be a female too.
The
who
person.
named it the Indonesian volcanoes.
Very good, Ben. Very good. I wonder where he'll start in your
On
Kane
a side
Cornes of the
note,
week
did you
team.
know, in Japan law, they actually Japanese law.
Yeah.
in Japan law.
That's okay.
In Japanese law, they're allowed to detain you for up to 23 days without charging. That's incredible.
Which Brian Lake's probably living at the moment. But Rick Olarenshaw's over there with him and on the case.
On your Rick, taking 10%.
Yeah, he would suit well up in our little
Yeah, Rick's
Hall of
very
Fame up there.
bougie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sort of setups. What I was hoping that you'd. I found a couple of Kane Cornes nominations this week for you. I didn't put them to you, but I was hoping that you'd run with them and then we could talk about them. But I know that you say Kane Cornes can't win the award, but I read something that he said this week. And I mean, I know you want to get in me about Carlton and
How's the
Carlton being
grammar?
bad and all the
Was
rest
it
of it.
good English?
Yeah, I believe you heavily edited.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But so there's a lot of talk around Carlton also being poor. I don't want to talk about Carlton. I don't want to get caught in, the rebuild, whether or not it's
I can
working
talk
or
about
what.
Carlton.
Yeah, and I know you want to. I want to talk about the talk outside of Carlton, right? So, and you can tell me if I'm being one-eyed, I guess. But I mean, I legitimately I read these things, these opinions, and I just think what a bizarre thought process for people who have played the game and people who get paid good money to talk about the game. So I'm going to start with Kane Cornes. Kane Cornes has said that he knows how footy clubs work and that Brendan Bolton from certain areas of the playing group wouldn't have the respect of the playing group due to the fact he never played at the highest level.
Oh, Kane Cornes said that.
Kane Cornes said that, and he said that he knows how footy clubs work and that there would be murmurs, why should I have to listen to this guy? He doesn't know what it's like to be out there playing at this level.
That's ironic, isn't it? Why the fuck should you listen to Kane Cornes saying that?
He's
never been at the highest level of media and opinions.
I just
I
don't...
guess he is now, but...
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what
What
point
a
you were
stupid
making,
comment
but
that is. I mean,
I just saw that and I thought...
players, like, recent years, they haven't gone down too well.
But
your bosses, your herds, those sort of guys, like, these are champions of the game.
Yeah.
So wouldn't their opinion in his terms be the most respected?
So just because I mean, Bill Belichick never played, did he?
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Never played.
Probably
Probably the greatest coach of all time. I mean, the best players, as you just said, don't always make the greatest coaches, and the greatest coaches aren't always the best players. I don't think there's a correlation. Like, I don't think it's got anything to do with Brett. I mean, I think they made some selection errors, Carlton, but I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact that I don't think we've seen if his game plan can hold up yet because they don't have the lists that they want to have. Exactly. So, I mean, and that's,
I wouldn't take it
neither here nor there.
I think Kane Cornes' marketing idea, strategy, if you will, is to be just polarising.
Well, as we've seen with your segment, yeah.
And it works, we're talking about it, but it doesn't work long term, right? Like, it doesn't, like, you do it enough, you will get the followers, you'll get the jobs, but then you'll realise the next 5 to 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if Kane doesn't have a job in the next 10 years, just because... Imagine
them lining up to clip him on the way down if he does get the chop from someone. But they won't, because people still read his stuff, which is half the battle. But
this is all short term. Even if you look at 1-2 years, that's still short term. I don't think, to be honest, Jake, I don't think Kane Cornes is being himself. Okay. I actually think it's just so deliberate and so obvious what he's doing.
It's interesting. I also saw someone responded to him on Twitter, as did many people, and Kane even said in his piece that this might sound. This might be a controversial opinion, as if he didn't think that it was going to be already. But that someone tweeted back to him, I've never seen a horse trainer win the Melbourne Cup, which I just thought was interesting that you can coach someone, you can train someone to do something that just because you can't do it doesn't mean that you don't understand the process of it all. But
look at what is it, Tony Robbins, the guru, the guy who talks to people. He's never had a successful business or a successful anything other than that consulting.
Even Lethal Shooter.
Lethal Shooter, I follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, he's like a pro shooter, but never really.
And now he teaches people to shoot.
Yeah, teaches NBA,
clubs, which is fascinating. Like, he should arguably almost be out there.
Yeah, and I mean, his own videos of him just dropping threes like on repeat, but he wasn't good enough to make it at the level. But he knows enough about certain aspects of the game that...
It reminds me of myself, it was like goal kicking, right? It was very... Now, the video's not on, so you can't say the look I'm making. Don't worry. Good snagging sausage roll, but never played football.
Well, and my next point is Wayne Carey, and I mean this was widely lambasted earlier in the week on Talking Footy Monday night. He said that Carlton need to be bold and look to trade the number one pick, which I thought, this is fine. I'm with you here at the moment because I'm of the same opinion. Trade the number one pick and either get a star or build a little war chest of first round picks in a strong draft class. He said that Carlton should trade pick one and they need to look to the clubs that have a lot of depth at the moment, e.g. Richmond and Melbourne, and raid their periphery. So get the guys that are on the verge of selection. And he said trade the number one pick for... you go to Melbourne and you get Bug, Tyson and Frost, for instance. Guys that are right on the fringe of being selected, and trade number one pick and get those guys in and be bold and take a risk. Someone who will have an impact, because an 18-year-old won't have an impact on Carlton next year, even if he is a once-in-a-generation player, for instance, because he said Cam Rayner at Brisbane hasn't had the first year impact. He's developing into a good player, and he also said the draft doesn't work. And
that's the one that does me. But that previous, I don't see... I mean, specifically naming those three players, I don't necessarily agree with, but I don't mind the strategy.
I just don't... I mean, he says we've got, like last year and the year before, we went and got some guys as sort of stopgaps in Aaron Mullett, Carlton, Darcy Lang. We've got more GWS players on the list than GWS do, like guys that have been in other clubs and haven't quite cracked in. Yeah. And, Cam O'Shea, those sort of guys who... they're fringe players at other clubs, and they're good, like VFL or SANFL or NEAFL players, but they can't quite make it at the AFL level. And Carlton's injuries have then sort of warranted them playing a lot more in the AFL. But I just don't think that going and getting, guys that aren't in the best 22 at another club and getting rid of a high commodity in pick one for those sort of guys. And, I mean, his own statement that the draft doesn't work. Last year, Richmond's premiership side, premiership 22, 14 of the players Richmond drafted. And in 2016, 20 of the Western Bulldogs 22 were drafted by the Dogs. The draft works.
The draft clearly works.
The draft works. The draft, and I mean,
scouters.
Well, I mean, scouters, list managers, and some luck in there too. I mean, but the draft works.
I've always thought, especially the last 5 years with Carlton, and I'm not actually having a go. I've always thought that you're like, not necessarily the drafting hasn't been great, but the development hasn't been, because you look at, it's just an unbelievable amount of players who've gone on to other clubs who couldn't even get a game and are thriving. I mean, like, a few of them were very, very talented, like Eddie Betts and stuff. But then you even look at Dylan Buckley. Couldn't even get a game at Carlton, and now he's in and out of GWS, but that's one of the best lists in the AFL, and he's getting a game there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the personnel changes had changed so often. So they went from obviously Ratton to Moldhouse, and then Moldhouse sort of started coaching for the Now, that it all flipped around a little bit, and it all got skewed, and then that didn't come off. So then Bolton had to go back and fully, as he's the reset, go back to
completely fucked.
Well,
the next few.
I don't heavily disagree.
But on the week, what that doesn't excuse 120 to 55 against the 17th team.
Yeah, the effort was poor on Saturday, but
mind you, I do think Brisbane are going to be pretty good.
Brisbane are going to be a good side, but they're not right now. They're not a good side right now.
And I thought that was pretty low by Carlton.
Yeah, it was certainly disappointing.
Not great.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not attacking you personally.
Hey, we're getting a little bit serious here. Aren't we?
Yeah,
we're sort of really sitting and chatting, weren't we? That was very interesting. So what I might do here is we might just get into a few of the stuff we've seen on the socials.
All right. Let's do that.
So we put out a Twitter poll. This was obviously before Rory Sloan had re-signed, which was only just this week. Which of the current top billed free agents would you prefer to see at your club in 2019? And then obviously moving forward, Tom Lynch, Rory Sloan, Andrew Gaff, Jeremy McGovern. Ben, who would you have?
Right now, if I was to pick, I would go with Gaff.
You go with Gaff, yeah. I said Gaff too, but Tom Lynch, 42%. Rory Sloan, interesting, 11%. Gaff, 21%. And Jeremy McGovern, 26% from the Magoo's community. So a little bit, much preferred. Lynch, obviously,
you think,
Lynch
you do have a mixture of positions there too, so maybe the people voting are voting from their own club's perspective.
Yeah, maybe they're just, if we need to keep, I would take Gaff because Carlton, for instance, need more midfield support,
and I think Essendon too. If I was to take that,
but then obviously if you're a club maybe like a Collingwood, looking more at Lynch,
in
Hawthorn in that.
Now that do you think his value's gone down since his injury?
He's not worth his enormous price. I wouldn't be paying him $1 million, but someone will, and I think now that Hawthorn will be firmly in that race with Sloan re-signing it. Adelaide, I think Hawthorn will really.
Here's a question for you then, just not to go too off topic, but if Alistair Clarkson was to get Hawthorn a premiership in the next 3 years, does he go down as the greatest coach of all time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think so too.
I think he's very. I think it's hard to.
I feel like I look at him now.
Yeah. I think it's hard to notice. It's hard to notice those sort of things when you're living them. I think it's hard to appreciate how good something is happening in the present, but he'll crystallise as one of the greatest of all time, definitely. And if he takes this group again, if he regenerates and takes them, which as I said earlier, he's one of the four sides that can win the flag.
Yeah,
this year. Yeah,
I didn't mind that. It's a good. They're sort of on the up and they get it done week in week out.
Just before we go to a break, before we come back for segment 3, another great stat I saw on Twitter, staying with the socials, is that I'll take you back to 1966, Ben.
That was my third favourite year.
Okay, why?
Is that when St Kilda won the flag?
I think it was, yeah.
But that's not why.
The week leading into the 1966 World Cup final, right? the AFL or the VFL ladder, Richmond were first, Collingwood were second. The week, and England won the World Cup. The week leading in to the World Cup final of 2018. What is that?
That's
52 years later, is that right? 52? Yeah. 52 years later. Yeah, sorry. I've never seen a more blank look on someone's face. 52 years later, the week leading into the World Cup final, the AFL ladder, Richmond won, Collingwood 2, England on. Yeah, well, they just have to. I mean, hopefully,
they're going to bring it home.
By the time this goes to air, the semi-final will have been played versus Croatia. So I hope they're still in it, or else that fact will be absolutely null and void. But
because it's fun, and
so hopefully,
that is a cool stat though.
It's a great stat. So that was the best.
66, 70 teams in the AFL were there.
The VFL would have been 9, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, it's still very relevant. But Ben, we'll be back in a moment to wrap up the show with our third segment of this audio-only version of the Magoos. Okay, Benny, we're here to wrap up the round 17 show. The Magoos going beautifully in audio-only form today.
Yeah.
Talking very deeply, you and I today. It's a lot different, isn't it?
We might need to change from sort of comedy to more just
Yeah, might be a genre change, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Hope not.
Okay. Stay tuned for that.
So it's time for the Magoo's moment of the week, and this is not going to pick up any spirits. This is a little bit of a not overly like. I mean, it's sad, but it's a bit bittersweet. Clay Smith retired during the week. 55 games for the Dogs, 3 knee recos, just couldn't get his knee right. Knew it wouldn't stand up to AFL standards, and he wasn't going to be able to get back, so he pulled the pin on his career, which was obviously disappointing to see someone have to call time on their career so early on.
Good strike rate though.
Oh yeah, huge.
Premiership, 55 games.
Yeah, if he played 250, he's a 5-timer.
All right.
Purely on stats. But I just want to sort of take you back to that 2016 final series that we were all swept up in Dogs Mania. Not me, I backed Sydney.
I was all right around the Dogs.
Yeah.
That was a great time. Great time to be alive.
Great time. 38 tackles in the 2016 final series for Clay Smith, the second highest tackle final series. Does that make sense?
So in 4 games, 38 tackles.
Only behind Lenny Hayes in 2010.
Yeah, I never knew that.
11 tackles in the grand final he had, Clay Smith. If that doesn't typify exactly what the Dogs were at that point in time, and I mean, that preliminary final's next level. He'd lost his friend during the week.
Yeah.
And he was, kicked 4 goals in the prelim, helped drag him over the line against GWS up there, and was just incredible. He typified that whole Western Bulldogs movement in 2016, and so I think that he's never
been a party animal. But.
Yeah, he's a little bit. I know that Silveriola didn't qualify last week. I think Clay Smith's a little bit more Magoo's. He's very underrated. Very
done by.
Of course, with the knee recos. But yeah, it's just a shame that sometimes in the game of footy you just don't get to see the best of everyone. Or maybe we did see the best of Clay Smith because we saw a really, really good patch of footy in 2016 and retires as a premiership player. I'm sure that he'll be absolutely wrapped. So, Clay, you're our Magoo's moment of the week. We took a trip down memory lane back to 2016 when he was a huge, huge part of what the Bulldogs delivered, and returning a flag to that club for only the second time in its history was just massive. So, sad to see Clay Smith bow out young, but he can be proud of his career, and that's why he is the Magoo's moment of the week.
So, you're telling me one premiership, 55 games, and one Magoo's moment of the week?
It is quite a list, isn't it?
Yeah, that trophy cabinet. May as well just leave it at that, because that is good on you, Clay. Good on you.
Yeah, good on you, Clay.
Just on a lighter note, just to go back to Carlton being shit. No, just kidding. Well, I'm not even kidding. They're shit. Now, can you tell me why they're not going to take the priority pick? I don't get the whole rule. I don't get the priority pick. I've never really read into it. What is it, and why haven't you guys taken it? Because to me, it sounds like you guys are a bit stubborn in a sense. I was like, we don't need your help, sort of like. Imagine like
It's,
going to a
I
home
believe
with-
that. I think it's that Carlton won't ask for a priority pick. I think
Okay.
they won't seek it, but if they're given one, if the AFL decide, then they'll give one.
Oh, okay. Ah, and you already have pick one, though, won't you?
Well, if we finish on the bottom, but
Yeah. Okay.
so what do you think? I've got a question for you too.
Hit me.
Free agents, are we at the point with a landscape yet where they can be open with their intentions? So Tom Lynch I know he's not playing, so maybe it's a bad example, but if Rory Sloan, again, re-sign, Andrew Gaff, third time's a charm. Andrew Gaff says, I'm leaving West Coast at the end of the year. For the next 10 weeks, I'm all in. I want to get a flag here at West Coast, but I'm going back to Melbourne at the end. Are we ready for that?
No.
And if not, why?
I don't think so. I think there's too many, and not to be disrespectful, but there are a lot of footballers who aren't the most intelligent people, and I would suggest that people within those clubs who find out the news about other like teammates wouldn't take the news too well. And
Okay.
I'm not saying not saying any beatings or anything like that, but I think all right, maybe we'll stop passing it to Andrew then for the next 10. I know it's petty, but
It's probably true.
Yeah.
It's probably true.
and that's only going to hinder West Coast even more if Andrew Gaff's not more involved. to win that premiership With an asterisk. So yeah, I don't think they're ready. It's just more media shit. What it tells me is that we don't. There's too many journalists as there is, and not enough stories. So if they were more open, it's like yes, we've got more stories.
Yeah, and then
But you don't need them.
and then if Gaff has a bad week, then they go, oh, he's checked out, or all those sort of things
Yeah.
where it just might not be true. But I mean, I guess it's just more. Again, I think it was Kane Cornes and Damien Barrett. They both said that they need to signal their intent. Which is, it's just an interesting one. I agree. I don't think we're just at that landscape yet. I mean, because people think that they know what's going on anyway. Everyone was saying Rory Sloan was leaving and then he stays. So people who think they know what's going on and want to report that, I just don't think that. How do you possibly ever know what's going on in someone's head in their decision-making process? So
You don't really. And then those players, the people who give out these sources, who's to say that Rory wasn't lying to them?
well,
Because,
yeah, of course, of course.
well,
But
I don't know. Who fucking knows?
so, Ben,
I don't really care.
in closing, this
Just
episode,
before we close, though, sorry to interrupt you so rudely there, Jake, but I've seen, again, we've been talking about the AFL scheduling. What are your thoughts on St Kilda having back-to-back starting this Friday night? They're going to have back-to-back Friday night games.
interesting. I don't buy into any of that scheduling stuff.
No.
Teams play when they play. I'll watch it anyway. You don't know what's going to be a good game versus what's going to be a bad game of footy, to be honest. I don't think.
Also, though, they've I just saw during the week that St Kilda are actually lowering their prices this week against your mob.
Is that right?
From $25 general admission to $13.
Wow.
Just,
Cheap.
do you think? Yeah, it is cheap. No, and good on them. I hope they pack it out. Like it's that Eddie had, I think. Right. Like that's you want that in footy. You want it like especially from the spectators. I think the AFL would have been like, wait, we want. If you guys want to play more Friday night games, it's not necessarily the how the game goes, but it's also the look. So those wide shots of the game, the more asses on sets, the more people
better
want
it
to
looks,
complain
yeah.
if it is St Kilda.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Look, I mean, you want it as one of your marquee time slots. Obviously, Friday night footy, St Kilda Carlton is not ideal, but I mean, I guess it just is what it is. Like, I mean,
it is what it is.
But it just
Quite.
all works. The draw is very intricate in how it works. It's
It
very,
is, but
like
they definitely do give
gotta
it
have-
to people who deserve it more, and I think
you've got to have a certain amount of
Right,
days
so.
off in between. Your opposition has to, the home
Yeah.
scheduling, all the corporate stuff. I don't know. There's a lot more goes into it than people. Like, people want a floating fixture. That would be awful. Imagine not knowing till like 2 or 3 weeks before. You're trying to make, say, the holiday plans or party plans or anything.
I
Like,
understand why they do it with round 23.
yeah, I understand that, which is fine because for 1 week a year, people can, just wait and that also benefits the sides,
Yeah.
going
You
into
actually
final.
might book
Although I'm not sure they
holidays
really need
before.
to do it anymore because there's a week off in between round 23 and finals. But yeah,
Well, that's true.
to
But,
that,
yeah.
this week, Ben, we farewell an old friend.
Jack's not coming back.
Thursday night footy.
Yeah. What's this, the 5th week in a row?
Something like that, at least five.
At least. It's been,
Adelaide, Geelong at the Adelaide Oval. I reckon it's a cracker to go out with.
Yeah.
Over there, they'll get a huge crowd. Geelong are going okay. Adelaide is sort of teetering on the edge of...
But also will play good at home.
Yeah. Rory Sloan's re-signed. They'll pack into Adelaide Oval.
Jeez, and they'll beat the Catters, I reckon.
No, false. Wrong. But, yeah, I just think that, Thursday night footy is a huge, huge tick, and hopefully we continue to see that expand in 2019 and beyond.
That's great.
Ben, just quickly, while I've got you here, I'm going to go down and for the first time on the Magoos, everyone else does it. I want to hear your tips for the week. I'll go bang, bang. All right. Adelaide, Geelong.
Adelaide.
I'll go Geelong. St Kilda, Carlton.
St Kilda.
I'll go Carlton. Hawthorn, Brisbane.
Hawthorn.
Yeah, I'll go Hawthorn. Melbourne Bulldogs at the G.
Doggies.
Oh, Melbourne. Cracker here. Gold Coast, Essendon.
Essendon.
Yeah, Essendon will win.
We'll have 50. We'll have 50 free kicks to 12.
Yeah,
And still be down the
poor
last
Gold Coast. GWS, Richmond at Spotless.
Spotless. Still, I'm going to say the Tigers.
No, I'm going the Giants. Collingwood, Eagles, MCG.
Collingwood.
North Melbourne, Sydney, Etihad.
Sydney.
Yeah. I'm going to go North Melbourne.
Just to be different.
Fremantle, Port Adelaide at Optus Stadium to round out the round.
At Optus Stadium, Fremantle.
Nah, wrong again. Ben,
It's been a pleasure.
it's been great sitting down here in an audio-only form, a bit intimate. Hopefully we'll be back next week with some vision.
Now, at least, not just the jocks.
Yeah, it got a bit cold by the looks.
Just before we do sign off, we just surprising our Magoo's community. We will be doing a Q&A actually this Saturday night at the precinct.
No, provincial.
Provincial?
Don't go to the precinct.
Provincial.
Yeah. We'll be live
Provincial.
there.
It
We'll try and get.
to be Jake's birthday, which
We'll try and get on stage at the
I
provincial.
won't be open for questions and answering, but Jake will, the birthday boy.
Awesome.
As long as you buy him a beer and ask him why Carlton is so shit.
The Provincial Hotel, live Magoo's Q&A. We'll see you there, everybody.
See you guys.